Hey guys, it's Lisa and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to do some Valentine decor, and I'm going to start with this crafty clay is the name of this. And the reason I'm using this clay is because I ordered it some time ago, and it's not good for the clay molds because it's it's almost like taffy. So it's really hard to work with. But what I love about it is that it's very lightweight. It almost dries like styrofoam. So it's going to work perfectly for what I'm going to use it for. Now I decided to do a longer video than usual because I'm going to just take all of my Valentine crafts that I'm going to be doing and do them in this video and get that behind me so that I can start with my spring decor. So this one you may have to watch in sections, but like I said, I just want to get them all done and out of the way because I really need to get more of my spring decor started. So this clay is going to work perfect for this because I'm just going to roll it out and cut shapes out of it with cookie cutter. So as you can see here, it's like taffy. It's just really hard to work with. But I thought I may as well use it up on something. And like I said, it dries very lightweight, and it also doesn't crack at all. So you don't have to worry that if you drop the mold once it's dry, it's not going to break. So at least I've not experienced that yet. So it's going to be perfect because I'm going to use this on a garland. So what I'm going to do with this is just roll it out, and then I'm going to take my kindest regards stamp and make an impression on this. And I had used my kindest regards stamp with some of my antiquing ink, and I didn't clean it well, so that I would have some of the brown show up down in the letters. And I wanted just a hint of that because I'm going to be using neutrals with this, and I wanted those, I'm not going to be painting these molds, so I wanted to have some dimension in the color, and it worked perfectly. And just like when you're making biscuit dough, you have to use I use cornstarch on my rolling pin so that it doesn't stick. And I even dusted the top of my dough before I put my stamp on it to make sure that it didn't stick to my stamp. And now I'm just going to take some different sizes of hearts and heart cookie cutters and cut these out until I use all my clay up. Now obviously you can use whatever clay you have for this. You're just going to have to be extra careful that you don't break them. So if you have a lightweight clay, I haven't tried paper clay. One of my viewers told me, or actually a few of my viewers told me, that paper clay is really good to work with, and I have some ordered, but I haven't tried it yet. But I would assume that it doesn't. I think that one of them said that it doesn't break as easily, and that it's more lightweight. So that may be a good option also. So once I get all these cut, since they're going to be hanging like I said, I'll use on my garland, then they're going to have to have a hole while I let those dry some. So I'm just going to take a wooden skewer, and I got these when we cleaned up the storage room at our church. And they have plastic in them, and I'm going to leave that in there because that'll just help protect the bag. But I'm going to give these 2 coats of the color buttercream. And my plan for this, as you can see here, the 2 squares on the end and the circle or the oval shape in the middle, what I thought would be to make these for Valentine's Day. And the 2 squares will be perfect to put an X in, and then of course the oval would be perfect for an O. So it will have the XOX, and then you can just kind of stand them up on the mantle or something for decor. So that's just what I saw when I saw these shapes, and so that's what these are going to be. And this will be a very simple decor. And I'm just using some old book pages, and I've already taken that plastic out now. So I'm just going to put the book pages as the background, and then I'll use my typesetting stamp from IOD and stamp XOX. And the little hand that you see occasionally come into the frame is my little granddaughter, Bristol, and she was here to help me this day. Like I said, all I'm going to do here is stamp these letters inside each of these frames, and then this will be complete. Except I forgot to mention that I do use a white wax over this, and that just adds a little bit of dimension to my color, but it also will help seal that chalk paint. I think those turned out cute, and like I said, very simple to do. So now I'm going to make my garland, and I'm just using this string here. My mother had thrifted this at some point, and I ended up with it, and I think it's a good base for this garland. So I just tie a little loop in each end, and then hang it on my mantle just so that I have a good area to work from. And I want to make this neutral because this is just one that I'm going to be decorating each year for Valentine's Day with at the shop. So I don't want any colors to get in the way of any kind of decor that I'll be doing with it. And as most of you know, I generally do neutrals anyway. So I've just taken some tea towel, and some of them are coffee stained and some of them not. And I'm just going to tie several of these. And I guess these are about maybe 8 inches long. And I'm just you could do that loop there like I'm showing you, but then I just decided it's easier just to go ahead and just tie them on. They look just as good, and it's easier, and where I have all this play in my string here, it's real hard to get that on there that way anyway. So I just go through and tie these all the way across, maybe about 4 inches or so apart. And because my friend Laura Jo sent me all that beautiful vintage lace, I'm going to have some real pretty lace to tie on this. So I wanted these wider strips so that the lace really showed up well. And so I'm just cutting these maybe 8. I might have went a little bit longer on these, maybe about 9 inches. Because they're wider, it's a little bit harder to tie them on. And then if I need to trim anything, I can do that afterwards. It turns out I didn't have to trim anything. And now once I get these tied on, then it's time to add my clay hearts. And I'm just going to use some jute twine and put a string in the top of each of them and just tie them here and there on my garland. Now, I don't feel like I need many, but I just want to evenly distribute them throughout my garland. And I love that they're all different sizes. I feel like that adds to the look and gives it a lot more character. And if you've never made a rag garland like this, you should try it because it's very simple and you can give them so many different looks. And if you don't have the lace that I've been blessed with, especially lately, then you can always tear up strips of other things or cut lace from an old curtain shear. And instead of tea towels, you can always use old worn out bed sheets. They tear well and they make a pretty garland also. So like I said, I've just kind of evenly distributed these on, and then this garland will be finished. And I just love the look that I got from this, and I just love those the antiquing ink, how it did the lettering on the hearts. And now here are some other items that I'm going to make over. I'm sure you've seen these little plastic container hearts at the Dollar Tree, and the little 3 wooden hearts that are tied together. I have some of those I'll be making over. This is just the lid to an old heart tin. So I'm going to give all these 2 coats of the color buttercream and then let them dry well, because I want to have this neutral color to work with so that whatever I decide to do, it's going to work. So if I were going to use some color here, I would just do different colors on these. But like I said, I want them all just to be the off-white so that I can, so that I won't be limited to what I do to them. And then the first item that I'm going to make over will be the little heart tin lid. And I used the bottom on another craft, I think maybe last year. And this one I used to put my glue gun in at one time, and so it's got hot glue all over it. I don't mind at all. That just gives it some more grip for my flowers, because as you can see, what I'm doing is filling it with rosettes. So I'm just making them on the base. Probably the best choice would have been to make several of them and then just start gluing them in, because as you get around those edges, it's a little hard to maneuver to make your rose. And I'm purposely making these a little chunkier, so in some cases I'm using 2 strips of fabric together like I am here, first for chunkiness, but then also for more character. So like I said, I'm just kind of building them on this base. You could build them on a piece of cardboard or on a piece of cloth. But like I said, it really would have been best to just make a bunch of these and then just start gluing them in. Now, I'm making these, but then between where some of the flowers, if I have any space at all, then I just take a little piece of lace and just kind of put a dot of glue there, and then just tuck a little square of lace between it, and that just adds some more dimension and also adds more of that lace look that I want. So a little box would also work for this. Maybe you've gotten a heart box of candy for Valentine's Day. So just don't throw that away. Save both the top and the bottom, and you can make 2 of these. So here I am just tucking some of that lace in as a filler and to add texture. And then for even more character and texture, I'm gluing some little pearl beads in. And I think I glue a few little buttons and just anything that I think might add a little character. And just kind of periodically put those in there where I feel like it needs something. And then I take some gathered lace and I'm just going to glue it against the sides all the way around. I didn't want it sticking out much from the sides, so what I did was I just laid it on the sides and let the lacy part be in front, if that makes sense. And if you have some vintage jewelry, that would also be a really pretty addition to this. I used to save vintage jewelry, but I quit saving it, and so I don't have it right now, but that would be a very pretty addition to this, I think. So now I'm just going to make a shabby bow to go on the top. And if you haven't watched me make them, all I do is just take some scraps of fabric and lace. And these, I guess, are about maybe 4 inches long. And I'm just going to kind of arrange them, separating the types of lace. You can also add some regular fabric in with this. This is where you can kind of get creative and do whatever you want. but I wanted lace on this one, so I'm just gonna arrange these kind of in a crisscross, and then I'll take a piece of string and tie in the center. And that's all there is to a shabby bow. And then you can just trim it down if you need to shape it up a little bit. Now you could also add some sort of bling in the center of it, especially since this is so dressy, but I didn't feel the need to do that. And or maybe even a piece of jewelry, like I said before. But I'm just going to leave mine plain. And then I'll take a strip of lace, glue that hanger and to, maybe about the high part 12 inches long, 10 or 12 inches long. And that will be what I'll use to hang it with. Tie the ends together and then glue that knot right there in the center of the top. And then I'll hide what little bit of fabric is left over with my shabby bow. And then that's all that I do to this one, and it will be complete. And I thought I was recording this next one. Turns out I didn't get it recorded at all. So I did the same thing with this one, as far as I started with a heart, kind of a box, I guess, and painted it white, and then put some stamping on the outer edge of it and put my hanger on the top. But for the inside of it, I used coffee filters that were coffee stained. And I'm going to show you how I made those. Those are very simple. And then, of course, I stuck some tucked some lace in between those, the same way I did with the other one. So what I do is I take 2 coffee filters, and if they're not coffee stained, you need to kind of wad them up a little bit and make them a little bit more crumpled. And you're going to take a dot of glue and glue 2 of them together. And then after you do that, then you're just going to kind of put a little bit of glue in the center again, and then kind of cup your hands over the outside of it and make it into a rose that way. It's just simple, just kind of crumple it together. And so you just make several of these, and then you just start gluing them into your container until you've got it full. And that was very simple. And for this size, it didn't take that many of them. And I have even added a few drops of pink food coloring into my coffee stain at times to add a little bit of a rose color to them. That turns out pretty also for Valentine's Day. But as you can see, you just kind of put them together like that until you fit all that you can fit in there. And then, like I said, I just tucked some lace here and there in it, and that's all that I did to that one. And now these little plastic hearts, I painted them with a couple of coats. Some of them took a little bit more than that even. And now I'm just going to put some stamps on both sides and add some ribbon to the top. Now these could be added to the garlands, but I'm just going to do these just to hang on their own. And then obviously they could be added to things like that, or they could just go just the way they are. So here I'm using some of my redesign stamp set called Icy Paris, and I'm just kind of stamping on those. I use that set so much, and I'll try to add that to the description, but I use that stamp a lot, and I love that script stamp. I like to add that to one side and then another one of them to the other side. I think it works well that way. I do think that these would make a really pretty garland then, in which case you wouldn't have to add the lace to the top until you were ready to tie them on. But here I'm putting a little bow on, just a simple bow on the top and up both sides, so that I'll hide that where the knot is on my ribbon. So this one I kept neutral. And then the next one, I'm going to add some pink to it for those of you who like to decorate with a lot of color. You could use pinks or reds. Even a combination of different pinks would be pretty. But again, I'm going to put a bow on both the front and the back. And now the next item that I'm going to be making over is another one of those foam hearts that I did on a previous video. I had some more of them left over and decided I would do one a little different, add some color to it. So I'm going to start with this foam heart that I've put a coat of the color buttercream on. And now I'm just going to kind of glue some laces to it. And I'll just kind of fill in with some of the vintage laces. And I'm even going to use an old doily that has some stains on it. That's perfect for items like this. You can either leave the stain on. A lot of times it doesn't bother me. It just adds to the vintage look. But otherwise you can just cut the stained part off and use what's remaining. But I think this is a great little project to use some of your stained linens. And I also think this is a great little project just to kind of play with and just add different looks to. This could be, it wouldn't have to be shabby chic. I think these are really pretty done in shabby chic, especially the vintage shabby chic. But you could also make them more farmhouse or more traditional. You could just make these however you want. And I think they would work either way. I could also see these being more primitive. You could do a primitive design on them. And now to make over some of these wooden shapes from the Dollar Tree. And like I said, these come on a strand of 3, and I just cut them apart and paint them. I don't worry that there's some texture left because I'm going to be covering this one with lace. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening, and God bless you and your family.